Okay, in skill review 3, we're going to talk about positive and negative numbers and how you add and subtract and multiply and divide positive and negative numbers. This is going to open up a whole new realm of problems we can do with the fractions. We can do with the order of operations. For some of you, this might be the first time you've really done many problems with this, which is fine. For the rest of you, this should be review. And we'll have lots of examples and do lots of problems like this. You've got to be very good at doing positive and negative numbers. Okay, so with addition, there's just two cases we think about. The first case is a positive plus a negative. And so when you have a positive number plus a negative number, the way you do it is you subtract the numbers. So when you're doing addition, you're essentially, you solve it by doing subtraction. Subtract the numbers and use the sign of the largest absolute value. So you subtract the numbers and use the sign of the largest absolute value. Now, an example of this would be, if we had something like 4 plus a negative 9. You would look at this and you'd see it's a positive and a negative, and you're adding them together. So that means you got to subtract 9 and 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. Which has a bigger absolute value, 4 or negative 9? Well, negative 9 has a bigger absolute value. So that means the answer is going to be negative. So it's going to be negative 5. And you need to be able to understand that whenever you have a negative number that's further from 0 than a positive number, your answer must be negative if you think about it on a number line. Okay, the second case that we look at is a negative plus a negative. If you're adding two things that are negative together, I hope it's relatively intuitive that your answer should be negative. If the temperature outside is -4 and then it drops another -10 degrees, it's not going to become positive at that point, or a positive temperature, right? A -4 plus a -10 would give you a -14 degrees. So the way you do negative plus a negative is you add the numbers and the sign is negative. So anytime you got a negative plus a negative, you add the numbers and the sign is always negative. Now the other case, which I didn't include, is a positive plus a positive, but you've been doing that since you were in first grade probably, so we shouldn't have to cover what you do with a positive plus a positive. Okay, when you do subtraction, well, when we do subtraction, we don't really do subtraction. What we do with subtraction is we do this. We change it to an addition problem. So the way you do it is change subtraction to addition. So the first thing is change subtraction to addition. And then you change the sign. So if you're subtracting a negative number, it becomes positive. If you're subtracting a positive number, it becomes negative. You change the sign of the second number. Whatever the number after the subtraction problem is. So for instance, if you've got 3 minus a positive 7, that's what's happening there. This is 3 minus a positive 7. Well, instead of it being a subtraction sign, you change it to addition. Change a minus sign to a plus, and then you change the sign of the positive 7 to a negative 7. So it becomes 3 plus a negative 7, and then we apply case 1, and we can solve that problem. So let's look at some examples. And as we do these examples, you should pause the video and try them by yourself. 3 plus a negative 7 is the one we just talked about. Well, the signs are different. One's positive, one's negative. So you subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. But the 7 is the bigger number, and the negative is attached to that, so the answer is -4. -12 plus -3, those signs are the same, so you add the numbers, which is 15, and a negative plus a negative always stays negative, so it's going to be -15. Okay, this is 4 minus a positive 9. When we do 4 minus positive 9, it becomes 4 plus, and not plus 9. It's not 13. 4 minus 9 doesn't equal 13. You know that. And so you've got to change the 9 to a negative. So it becomes 4 plus a negative 9. Now we apply case 1 from our addition. 9 minus 4 is 5. The 9 is bigger, so the answer becomes negative 5. We look at a couple more examples. A negative 7 minus a negative 3. This is a subtraction problem. So we change the subtraction to addition. You get negative 7 plus a negative 3. Signs are the same. They're both negative. So you add the numbers together. And then two negatives always are going to add up to a negative. So it's negative 10. 3 minus a negative 4. This is the first time we've done a problem like this. And this is a common place to make mistakes. This is a 3 minus. It's a subtraction problem. And what you're subtracting is a negative number. And whenever you have two negatives next to each other, they basically cancel each other out. And this only happens if you got two negatives. And so 3 minus a negative 4, change subtraction to addition. Change the sign of the second number. The sign is negative, so it becomes a positive. So it's just 3 plus 4, which is 7. Same thing here. Subtraction becomes addition. Change the sign of the 2 to positive 2. So now you've got negative 8 plus a positive 2. Signs are different, so that becomes subtraction. 8 minus 2 is 6. 8's bigger than 2, so the answer is a negative 6. And then finally, our last one that we'll look at. You could have multiple things in a row. When you have a problem like this, it's always a good idea to go change everything to addition. And so you change everything to addition. It's going to be plus a negative 3, and then plus a positive 5, right? 7 minus positive 3 changes to 7 plus a negative 3. Negative 2 minus a negative 5 becomes negative 2 plus, change it to addition, and then a positive 5. So we can just go do these one at a time. 7 plus a negative 3, signs are different, and so it's going to be subtraction. 7 minus 3 is 4. It's positive because 7's bigger. 4 plus a negative 2. 4 plus a negative 2, the signs are different, so you subtract, which 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 is bigger, so it's positive, so it leaves you with 2 plus 5, and we should be able to do 2 plus 5, which is 7. So that's how you add or subtract positive numbers. Remember, signs are different, you subtract them. So if you're adding numbers together and they have a different sign, you subtract the numbers, take the sign of the bigger number. If the signs are different, you add them, and then there are two negatives always add up to a negative.